Hello everyone. Today I'd like to show you how to use GPT to generate the code. So particularly, I'm going to showcase how to use GPT to create a SQL from natural language. So for the demonstration and the sample, I posted code on my repo. So if you go to HYSSH, Azure OpenAI Quick Start, you can clone or download the source code from here. So I already cloned and copied the code from the repo, and I ran the requirement file. So I have a virtual Python environment where I can run the sample code here. So in order to run the code here, you can use a streamlit, and I indicated where the code or the source is to run the demo here. Okay, basically, if you run this sample, you will have this UI. There's a one user input, and then whenever you type your question regarding your database or to get to the insight for your business, this web application will retrieve the data from the database. So how does that happen? So here I have the code that I'm running at this moment, and there's a one class called the sample 101. So sample 101, has meta prompt and meta prompts related to system message or system message and the user message. So here, system message, I'm defining the GPT as a business analyst, and I'm going to provide a database schema information here as a plain text. So in the database summary, it has a schema, table name, and fields are there. And also, I added safety instructions. So if somebody or anonymous user is trying to run DML or DDL query, just gently deny that request. So with this meta prompt, what I need to do is get the user's questions from the inputs. So in order to get that user's prompt, what I'm using here is input message. So whenever user type and hit enter in this text box, input message, that will execute this line 91. And this code will concatenate the system message that I defined and then user message which comes from the web interface. So I just make a list by combining this the system message and user message and sending this message to Azure OpenAI. And when the response comes from the GPT, you have to parse the response. So what I'm going to do is just get the value from the response. The key is the contents, and I'm going to use this this special characters to extract only the SQL query. And once the SQL query retrieved, what I'm gonna do next, the web application will use pandas to run the SQL query using this connection string. So connection string is just another utility, Python code that I wrote, just creating some connection string for us. So it is possible to just type your connection string for your database. And once this query, read SQL query, ran successfully, you will get the data frame, pandas data frame, and you can use streamlit data frame functions to display it. Okay, in order to help your understanding, I made some changes on the sample code. So I added a couple of prompt statements to make sure showcasing the message is received from the user. So I added this line 92, and also I added this couple of statements. to show you the actual response from the GPT. So I'm running this updated code. You may not see the code or this changes from the repo, but it's okay. So I'm going to just copy and paste one of the sample. So what this web will do now is, unlike a previous demo, it will actually produce some of the print statements on your console. So let's take a look. So this got a message from user. This comes from the line 92. So make sure that the message been inputted is given to this application. And here, 111, the line. Just make sure that showing all this in the detailed response from the OpenAI. Of course, I removed the other information of the response, but just focusing on the content parts. So if we look at this content part, which is interesting, which is starting from here. So here's a query got there's an explanation, and then there's a tilde query statement and ends with a tilde. And then also come with this explanation, like what is the query will do, what we will do for you. But as you know, what we need is, especially within the orchestrator or workflow, is that this code, this SQL code that is generated by the GPT. So that is the reason why I added this line, access this contents value, and then split by tilde, and then get this first, which is a SQL query, and have that as a variable name SQL query, and then execute by using pandas data frame. So it means that maybe depend on the model you're going to use for testing development. The model may or may not be use the tilde to highlight the SQL query, or the code maybe could be on Python or other code that you're trying to get from it. So you have to always make sure that the GPT or your model, the LLM, large language model, responds back to you with this particular syntax or a particular way to highlight where is the code within this given long response. Okay, from now, I'd like to show you the second NLP 102 demo. So this 102, unlike a 101, there are extra steps before and after it's getting SQL response from the GPT. So in order to handle those flow, I came up with some separate prompt. So in here, the setup automation class has a system message, the meta prompt, and of course there's a prompt that describing the database, and in addition to that, there's an instruction prompt. So this instruction prompt is defining the steps that the GPT will do. So basically, it will try to follow this steps from 1 to the final, and then it will finish with this the end parts. But the tricky thing is that we need to execute the SQL in the middle of this text generation from the GPT, meaning we have to pause or stop to parse or to get the SQL query and use this SQL query executing on the database and retrieve the data from the database and bring it back to here in the prompt to do some result analysis, or just review or summarize the result from the database, summarize it, or maybe add some additional questions regarding the data set that is retrieved from the database. So key part here is get the user's question and generate the SQL and then parse, which you have already seen from my previous demo. But what I will do next is pause the generating the text from the GPT. And we at that step, we will going to use this query by just splitting by tilde tilde tilde, and then bring the query, execute execute on the database, and then get the data, and then append it to here as part of the query result. So 102, the function, NLP 102 file is going to start its job. So once it get a prompt or the user's input, it will append to the meta prompt that you have seen you've seen already here in the step automation, and then send it. But when we send it, so if we follow this run, it has a stop characters. So this is one of a parameter that you can send to GPT. So whenever GPT, follow or generate the text, and when it produce or generate this reserved the stop characters, one or both, like and, colon, or pipe, it will pause and then return the text that are generated this far. So this run function is called here on the line 27, and we can expect that this response, assistant question response, will return with the SQL, including this tilde tilde tilde. So we are going to parse it and then use this as a variable name query, and then we do the same thing. We're going to run this query on my database, and then it will return my data from the database. I'll just take the 10 for the demonstration purposes, because I don't want to exceed my token limits for my model of GPT. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stringify this data frame as a JSON string. So when user hit the enter, give inputs, it will run the automation function. And within this automation function, there's a stop characters that will make a GPT stop and then return the generated text until it produces the stop characters. And then we do parse, extract the query, run the query, and then append this result back to the GPT. So, and after that, it will just follow the instructions, the step that we defined. For example, the next step, which is summarize the query result, right? Which is a string file, so which understand the GPT will understand it, and then asking an additional question, and then summarize all this data that is given to it. So this is the NLP 102. In order to do some exercise, I use multiple times, but once you send the result, and then it will just follow this rest of step 3 to the final to generate the answer. So you can just you don't need to bother to send all these steps one by one. You can just expect like one transaction, one API call will take care of down to the final answer generation, generating final answer. Okay, so I showed you the basic way to get the user input in natural language English, and bring that English to GPT and produce or generate the SQL. And you saw how to execute the SQL against the SQL database. And also you saw how to, how to define the multiple steps to achieve a certain task. And when there is a case that you need to execute a SQL to enrich or to bring more data in the context, in the prompt, you saw you can pause by using stop characters when you make a request to Azure OpenAI. It's a lot of a code you have to maintain. You have to take care of all these changes and everything. But what if we could use an open source module or package such as a LangChain? So LangChain comes with a predefined functions that you can just use. So for example, I could just use agents to connect to database, and then it will automatically just, whenever you just give text, these agents will bring your data to OpenAI. Your prompt to OpenAI, and then OpenAI will just generate, and then the rest will be automatically taken care of. So I have a function called sample 103, and I defined the database and Azure OpenAI connection and the SQL database toolkit. Okay, and I added my own prefix as part of meta prompt. And here, what I did is using create SQL agents. So SQL create agent is part of the LangChain agents. That is a wrapper class that we can use to run some SQL query using natural language. So here on line 100, I'm defining this SQL agent using Azure OpenAI, and then SQL database toolkit, and then agent type, and also a prefix string. So it will be appended to the prompt. And once you define agent executor, you can run of the user input. So user input comes from the web UI, just the text part that you saw from before the demo. It's exactly the same. But now you're going to use this the object, the function run of agent executor, which will take care of bring your text and connect to the database, and it will discover your schema. So that's the reason why in this meta prompt, the prefix prompt does not include database schema information, table name and field of the tables, right? Because this run will include that discovering the schema from your database, and based on those return the schema information, it will dynamically generate the SQL for you, and then it will run it. In case this generated SQL may be a dialect of MySQL, but you're using SQL Server, and there's a slight chance that the first trial may fail because of different dialect or different syntax of the SQL. And based on the returned error message, the agent executor will take care of it for you, meaning it will modify and update and change the SQL to based on the returned error message from your database, and then we'll try to run it. So by default, we'll try to run like up to 15 times because you don't want to wait due to a unexpected error from database or application. So there's a limitation which you can configure. It's a configurable. But the good thing is that you don't need to write all the details to get the data, or you don't need to append or update the schema information, database schema information, whenever the database update or changes over time. So it'd be much easier, simpler for you just to get the data by using GPT in natural language.